Please note that police chases can be dangerous and unpredictable. We do not condone reckless driving or any other illegal activity. Our videos are intended for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Time to get away. We're back southbound now on Prairie, still in the Torrance area. And if the suspect continues here, could try to get back on the freeway. But it looks like at this point in time, we'll be able to tell once this turn is made. Got a green light, made a left turn, and now there's the on-ramp back onto the 405. And sure enough, we're staying on the 405 freeway. We're going to be 405 freeway northbound, and we do have an LA County Sheriff unit overhead at the moment. It's actually the 405 freeway southbound ramp. And now, if it's anything like what we saw earlier, we're going to see some extremely high speeds with this vehicle on the freeway, well over 100 miles an hour. There's not much traffic in front of this individual. For the moment, the individual has somewhat lost the undercover vehicle. I can see it. You don't see it in your shot. But we've seen some extremely high rates of speed, and we don't see anything in the way of traffic right now. In between here, it looks like down through Carson and almost into Long Beach. Can't quite see that far. But it gives you an idea. It's on a stretch of freeway where the suspect can continue to travel at a very high rate of speed. The patrol unit behind him is so difficult to track because it's a black SUV and it blends in with all the other vehicles, is traveling basically at the same speed. So this unit of the LA County Sheriff's Department really wants this guy. It does not appear at this point in time they're going to go to surveillance mode, at least for now. The driver, or I should say the sheriff's deputy in the unmarked vehicle, is traveling at the same rate of speed as a suspect if you see swerving in and out of traffic here on the 405 freeway. Well over 100 miles an hour, an extremely dangerous situation when a suspect is willing to swerve in and out of traffic at these types of speed. If you've not seen, look at that, oh boy, close call there, getting back into the carpool lane. And when the suspect is not seen by other motorists, you can see extremely bad accidents in a situation like this. It's such a high rate of speed. Even the unmarked vehicle is having a hard time finding them. That's low up here. It looks like the suspect is getting off of the 405 freeway. This may be Western or Normandy. I think it might be Normandy. And it looks like it's going to make a north or southbound turn here. Suspect now, I believe, is going to be traveling southbound on Normandy. And we'll have an idea here in a moment whether or not the patrol car or the unmarked vehicle was able to catch up with the suspect. We're off the freeway onto surface streets. Normandy is a pretty wide street. You can see some pretty good speeds on Normandy here. 190th, coming up on 190th at the moment, and waiting for other units to respond. Looks like there he's getting out of the vehicle. It's a foot bail. And in situations like this, the helicopter overhead, the vehicle is still moving. Suspect's trying to walk slowly, try and make it look like he's not the suspect, maybe just a pedestrian, as the vehicle comes to a stop there and hits that pole possibly. The suspect, I believe, is behind the tree, walking slowly. There's an air unit overhead. They'll have units here in a moment to try and take the suspect into custody. It's a sky zone. It's unclear whether he may have gone into that building or not. I wasn't able to really tell, but they do have a helicopter overhead, and the patrol unit with the unmarked unit was behind the suspect, has not pulled up yet, traveling at such a high rate of speed. It was really hard for an unmarked vehicle to travel at those rates of speed because people didn't see that vehicle either, the unmarked gang unit. Not sure if that's the suspect. I don't believe so. I believe the suspect, trying to get the suspect into custody. More than likely, the sheriff's unit has him in sight.
Scott, this is Philip Palmer joining you. The woman in the person in the orange was a witness. You could see them get on the phone because the suspect was dressed all. Nope. You know what? Did he put a jacket on? Because initially he was all black and walking away, but it did. I thought he had gone in behind these other that other house right under that Ģakoby Myers sign there. That did not look like the suspect unless they had an orange jacket with them.
Go off to the right a little bit, right in there. There's somebody just walking nonchalantly back towards the curb. You know, when the suspect decided to walk out, Philip, and not make a run for it, obviously just trying to serve as somewhat of a decoy and walk towards that sky zone, may have even went inside. It's unclear, and they just didn't have patrol cars right behind him. That's the unmarked unit right there. And you can imagine how hard it is for this unit to travel on the freeway well over 100 miles an hour and try and keep the suspect in that vehicle in sight. light because people don't see that vehicle coming either like they would a patrol car. For the moment, we've lost them. Now, LA County Sheriff has a helicopter overhead. More than likely, they followed the suspect, and they probably have a good idea where that suspect is, either inside the structure or went towards the gas station. But you do see now, Philip, a lot more units are pouring in.
Well, and when I just was watching your signal, it did look like the person in the orange was there, but they have the same type of build as the other person, and that person was on the phone. So it made me think that, oh, that's much more similar. That
There's
person.
the other. That truck is an unmarked vehicle.
They're not going to let people just leave the area at this point.
Are the gang unit from the sheriff's department.
Yeah, they're not going to let people just start driving out of this area at that point, right?
No. No, and if you're right about one of those, go back in if you would for a second, Marcel. If you're right about one of those individuals, the woman in the orange top or the other man there being the suspect, they're going to keep them until they identify whether or not they could be. I have a suspicion that they were following this individual, and they know who the individual is because we got unmarked gang unit vehicles pursuing them. So more than likely, they really know who this is, and they'll be able to identify that it's not one of those two. So they're pulling away, and that does not appear to be the case. So the suspect may have gone inside the Sky Zone there. You know, Sky Zone, I believe, is one of those jumpies, have a bunch of trampolines. Whether they're open right now or not, it's unclear, but you can see more units are pouring in.
Yeah, and it was somewhat deliberate in the way that the suspect pulled over at this location, and then that's when he decided to get out. And as you mentioned, Scott, I don't know if we have that able to re-rack, but he just, even though he unceremoniously kind of dumped himself out onto the street, he very casually got up and walked away as if this was his intent, was to go to this space.
That's very possible, or he just did not want to draw attention to himself. He got out of the vehicle and said, you know, if you make a run for it, you know, bystanders are going to see you and they're going to say, hey, what's going on? The guy's running, and then see the patrol car, and they may say, hey, he went that way. It's unclear exactly what his intention was, if he knows this area, he went into the Sky Zone, or if the suspect was just thinking, I'm going to take a walk through this area. Since he could see behind him, he could tell that there were no units behind him. He was traveling at such a high rate of speed, the other unmarked vehicles from the sheriff's department really couldn't keep up with him safely. Whether or not, I'm not sure what kind of business this is, the gas station on the bottom of the screen, whether he went down into the gas station, it's unclear. They did have a helicopter overhead, so hopefully they have some sort of idea it's in the gas station or in the Sky Zone. Yeah,
it seems as if that sheriff's helicopter has been right above the whole time. And I think you mentioned that earlier, that this person, they had eyes on him very early on. So it's going to be tough if he did get into that building. That's a large area to have to sweep. Scott, that vehicle, that SUV that's right there in the parking lot of Sky Zone, it's almost parked at an angle. It seemed as if somebody was trying to leave that parking lot when they pulled that one right there. Oh, no, they're in a parking spot. But there was a black SUV that was trying to drive out, and I couldn't tell if they actually got out or if they just completely blocked that space in. You haven't seen anybody depart that area yet, have you?
We have not seen a vehicle depart here. JJ was asking me a question. It's 190th and Normandy. That's the intersection here. Excuse me, in Western. 190th and Western. That's the intersection. We didn't see a vehicle pop out. We followed the vehicle for a moment when the suspect went behind a tree. The vehicle the suspect was driving and he walked away from because it rolled for a bit. It looks like they may believe that the suspect is inside the Sky Zone. It's a pretty big structure. Open up a little bit if you would, Marcel. You can see off to the left they've shut down even a little bit more. You've got patrol units now searching the grass alongside of the 405 freeway there. Then there's a portion of 190th they've shut down, and now Western in this area. So it's unclear if they have them barricaded inside the Sky Zone. It doesn't look like they're concerned about the gas station at all, so at this point in time they don't believe that the suspect is there. But it doesn't look like they know for sure he's in the Sky Zone. So if they knew that, I don't think you'd see the search outside the structure as much as we're seeing. So I think they're going to have to clear it because they don't know. But that leads me to believe that the helicopter overhead also lost track of that suspect, or else they have a lot better direction on where to go. But I do believe that this suspect was under surveillance. When you see that many unmarked gang unit patrol cars, or gang unit vehicles, I should say, more than likely they've been surveilling this individual. And then during a robbery, he was HD. We're over Gardena, over the Sky Zone at 190th and Western. Now, earlier this morning, there was a high-speed pursuit of a black Audi. You see the Audi right there on the curb. That's on Western here at 190th. You see it under the Highline wires. I will show you some video. It's a robbery suspect being followed by the gang unit, the LA County Sheriff's Department, in unmarked vehicles. Suspect came down 190th at this point in time, and then you see him slow and then get out of the vehicle, fell for a moment, but then nonchalantly sort of walked away. There was an LA County Sheriff's helicopter overhead. They did not actually see him for a moment. They lost him, but we believe a witness told the Sheriff's Department and the deputies that the suspect is inside the Sky Zone. So at this point in time, they're trying to clear it. We've seen a lot of people come out. More than likely, there are surveillance cameras inside. They have called for a canine unit to conduct the search to see if the suspect is actually inside the Sky Zone here. At a time of both 190th and Western, they shut down the surface streets. They have been reopened, so there's not much in the way of traffic consequences here. There was a search originally in some of the bushes and some of the side streets for the suspect, but at this point in time, they believe the suspect is barricaded inside the Sky Zone. We're going to keep an eye on this from the air. There were no accidents, as far as we know, involved in the actual pursuit, although, boy, it was at an extremely high rate of speed, well over 100 miles an hour on the 405 freeway and on high speeds on the surface streets. We saw a couple close calls, but we didn't see a collision. We don't believe that anyone's been hurt. Right now, Sheriff's deputies just methodically going to go through this large building. It's a pretty large structure if we pull out of this shot, the Sky Zone. So they got to search that entire structure to see if the suspect is actually inside. That is underway, but you can get through this area. They haven't shut down the surface streets, just the Sky Zone and the gas station next door. I'm Scott Reif in Air 7 HD. Am I up? So if you're with us online here, we've been following this story, and LA County Sheriff's deputies were searching the Sky Zone, but it looks like now they must have some information that the suspect is outside the Sky Zone. Moments ago, we saw a lot of LA County Sheriff's deputies run out into the parking lot. It's unclear exactly why they did that. Now, they ran out and then they stopped. It gave us an initial indication, we thought, or I thought, looking at this, that the suspect was possibly out here. There they go. Looks like they do have the suspect. So the suspect that led police on that high-speed pursuit, led LA County Sheriff's detectives, gang unit detectives in unmarked vehicles on a high-speed pursuit along the 405 freeway, onto surface streets and down into the Gardena area, is now in custody. We believe they knew who the suspect was. These were gang unit deputies, from what we understand, and most cases the individuals are under surveillance when we see unmarked vehicles in pursuits like this. So the suspect is in custody. No one was injured as far as we know, so that is good news. From Air 7 HD, I'm Scott Reif, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. Hi, staff. Besides I'm losing my voice, I'm great. Yeah, they have the suspect. They have the suspect in custody. That's correct. I'm not sure we can re-rack both of those things from up here. Marcel, is that something you can pull off?